Okay, so my wife and I just watched the Outwaters and Skinamarink back to back tonight, so I wanted to get a review out of me before I fell asleep. So lucky you tonight, you're getting two reviews for the price of one. If I can just hold it together and not fall asleep. So both of them are arguably trying to do the same thing. They're doing very different things with the horror genre, like very avant-garde kind of art house things. The Outwaters is a found footage movie in the style of the Blair Witch Project, but it's very Lynchian. It's very cosmic horror and surrealist filmmaking, but like turned to 11. Skinamarink is going to feel strange to a lot of people because it's very experimental and dispenses with a lot of traditional filmmaking, but for people who are into analog horror on YouTube, like the Mandela Catalog or the Monument Mythos or Local 58, they're going to be right at home. This is going to look instantly recognizable to them. Both of them are getting a lot of awards and getting a lot of praise, and for the most part, I think that's deserved. What I didn't expect was the movie that I ended up liking a lot and the movie I didn't like as much were completely different. They completely switched spots. The Outwaters, without spoiling it too much, it deals with a lot of heady themes. There's a lot of musing about repetition and personal identity and blame and shame, and it has this big thesis about how big the universe is and how it doesn't make any sense and how you're ultimately going to die without ever having figured it out. This is all done through heavy, heavy doses of high strangeness and haunting imagery, and then it just never really explains any of it to you. I will say, it accomplishes a lot of what it set out to do. It's very impressive what it's able to do with its small budget. It deals with a lot of big ideas, as I said, and it's often a very beautiful film. It also made me deeply uncomfortable, and there are a lot of shots and a lot of images that actually legitimately creep me out. But I have no desire to ever watch it again. Which is a shame because I feel like it's one of those movies that probably requires multiple watches, but it doesn't really give me a lot of motivation to do it over again. As a person who deeply empathizes with people on site almost in most horror films, or any film really, I just didn't end up caring for these people that much at all. And that's after like 40 minutes of set dressing. Plus, this was gross. I normally am not that squeamish about stuff on screen, but this was gross. Plus, it is just hard to watch. Like, bring some Dramamine. Skinamarink, though. Boy. Boy, oh boy. There are a lot of reviews online right now that are saying it's boring and impenetrable, and I've got to ask, like, guys, did we watch the same movie? Like, on some level, I get it. Like, it's not your typical horror film. It's a slow burn. It probably had an even smaller budget than the Outwaters. And it's not all jump scares and quick shots. In fact, the camera hardly moves at all. And most of the time, you don't even see the faces of the people in the movie. But through these dark, grainy images, this movie sabotages your imagination. That is this movie's strength. It scares you with what you don't see. It almost perfectly replicates the feeling of having a nightmare. I've actually had quite a bit that looked and felt a lot like this, so it worked pretty well on me. And while I don't want to speak for her, my wife, who is notoriously hard to scare, was creeped out often and ended up coming away really, really liking it. Skinamarink proves that old adage that you can do a lot with a little, and I think just some people aren't giving it a chance, and you absolutely should. It also deals with some really heavy subject matter, but it completely, like, zipped by some people, and I'm not sure how. I don't want to spoil it, but maybe even a fifth of the way into the movie, you automatically know what this movie's probably going to be about, so I guess just some people weren't paying attention. Ultimately, I think you should both give these a chance if you're a horror fan, but The Outwaters is probably going to be a one and done, but I think you're going to probably get a lot more mileage out of Skinamarink. Give both a watch, though.